when you do something beautiful and nobody noticed, do not be sad. For the sun every morning is a beautiful spectacle, and yet most of the audience still sleeps. Good afternoon, viewers, and it's the Midday Show live on ECWA Television International. And I have my beautiful sister on this trip today with me, Magdalene Azal. Good afternoon, Magdalene.
Good afternoon. Why are you greeting me good afternoon as if
Yeah,
we've been on this
of
together?
course,
We
on this
just
trip.
touched down. Touched down where? Of Botswana.
You know, it's always a beautiful thing for you to know that you decide to do something at some particular point, and then when you know that this thing I want to do is something good, is something beautiful. Botswana is a beautiful place, and guess what? Is the fastest growing country where they do diamonds. And then when you talk about diamonds, you know what that means. So like, you know, you just want
Diamonds are forever.
they are forever, baby. They last forever. So like that's it. Like when you have diamonds and you wear them, you just feel you're expensive. So like that's one of the reasons why I want to go. I am here actually
Am I
to
looking
have fun.
expensive?
Of course you
is
are.
this
Can't you see?
diamond?
Like you are looking expensive.
Of course. Okay, that is why you like Botswana. But another thing that, you know, I really like about Botswana is the fact that, you know, it is one of the prime wildlife safari
Yeah,
we have. And it is just like they have numerous animals to see. Even though I am not so much a fan, I love nature. I love seeing nature,
Yeah.
but I am also scared of nature. But it doesn't mean that, you know, it is not a beauty. Every country has that very beautiful and unique thing about them.
Yeah.
Either you like it or not. Either you like it or you don't
You
like
don't
it. Just the
like
way,
it.
you know, I don't really, you know, it's not like I don't really like it, but I don't
Yeah.
really see me, you know, being in a vehicle and then a giraffe is behind,
behind
me.
you, like-
Because when you go to Botswana, you definitely
See
see
giraffes,
giraffes, you see cheetah, you will see like
Hyenas,
hyenas,
wild
like
dogs.
the wild dog
Wild
is
dogs,
another
actually.
thing also. But then this is what is making this country a beautiful place, and people really appreciate it. And you know, when you talk about all this, you know that definitely tourism is one amongst the revenue, you know, where these people get their, I mean, the ways where these people get their revenues from. So I think Botswana is actually a fast-growing country, just the
Of
way
course,
you said,
yeah,
and
it is.
they are really trying for
Of course,
themselves.
they're trying very well for themselves. Like it's when you talk about giving them the opportunity and time to do everything is Botswana. When you know you want to go, you're in this place and you want to I just want to learn a lot of things about the people in Botswana. I want to learn how they go about how they do their things, their way of life, and how they welcome people, how they get along with people, and how they do their businesses. You know, when you talk about diamonds over there, they do a lot of things with diamonds. They do business with it, and then when you learn business with diamonds, you know what that means. Diamond is expensive. So you know it lasts forever. So you know once you do this, and then they sell all these things, and then they get income as well. So it's part of the things that they do over there. And almost 38% of their land over there is given to the wildlife for just this animal. So you know what that means. You know, when you find yourself in this place and maybe you're moving, and then you have hyenas close to you, giraffe, just like you said, like you be scared of, okay, maybe when you're passing and then there's something behind you, you feel. But when you get used to all these animals, when you get used to them, you feel you are home.
Maybe before we leave, I'll get used to, you know,
should get
the
used
animals.
to it,
But
yeah.
I really love Botswana for the reason why they use their natural resources well.
Yeah, very well.
Talking about the wildlife, talking about how, you know, even in the tourist sites where you would see all these things, the parks they have a lot of parks.
lot
They're
of parks,
beautiful,
yeah.
in fact, iconic parks there where people visit. You definitely, have you gone for excursion before?
Of course I have.
In my school, we used to, like primary school, you know, most
Yeah.
times they take people for excursion, and you know, it's just amazing the kind of feeling
Yeah.
that you get to feel. And this is a country where excursion is so common. I don't think they do excursion now in secondary schools
Of
here,
course,
because
they still do, but
oh, is it because
nobody-
we've left there, so
Yeah,
we're thinking
actually.
they're like, because I can remember it was actually a fun experience where people go, explore, understand things, and then get used to how the environment is and how natural, these places are, and how you can communicate. And the sweetest thing is how these people communicate with animals.
Animals,
There are
sure.
people there who communicate with animals.
Yeah,
You
of
see
course.
something and you'll be like, oh, this is a scary animal. And then somebody can just come and talk to the
Talk to
animal, and
animal.
the animal is obeying.
Of
So it's
course.
really fun, seeing these people utilize what they have. And in talking about utilizing what they have, also it has boosted their businesses, in the sense that people do collab when you talk about maybe hotels now,
Yeah.
because people trip like into the
Botswana.
country like almost all the time, so they need bigger space
Of
for
course.
people
Yeah.
to accommodate people. And that is why you would see myself and you can we can just come together and say, okay, maybe we should expand this thing, because
Yeah.
it's going to be beneficial for me and you. And at the end, there's no regret, because
Of course.
definitely people are going to come and people are going to experience the beautiful, nature that they have come to explore.
Yeah, when you're saying people tend to create space for other people to come. They said almost 30 something percent of the land there is desert. So like when they tend to say, okay, there's still space for tourism and all of that, is always available, and then they're always accepting, they welcome ideas. So it's more like when you give them an idea of something, they just accept it immediately, because they know it's going to bring something to them. Because when you're going to invest in this particular business and it's going to yield profit, why won't you want to do that? So it's more like they always accept ideas, and then they build on the ideas, and then it gives them a lot of things they want. They welcome people. People go to Botswana, like they travel there every time just to have the experience, to do business, to do a lot of things over there, to even meet people. It could be that someone can just travel there just for the tourism, and then just go there and then just see places, have an experience of the animals. Like, there's someone that can just have a conversation with a wild animal, like just sit down there and then talk to him. Like, I know that's something I know I cannot do, because seeing a wild dog in the, oh no, I can't go close to that. But then there are a lot of people that just want to go there, just have this conversation. There are times that you need someone that can just listen to you, someone that you can just talk to, someone you just feel, even if that person is not even answering you, even if that person is not saying anything to you, but just for him to listen, or for that person to just give you listening ears, is encouraging. So when you realize you have an animal, people keep animals in their homes for them to just know, okay, I have this animal for protection, maybe for just the company and all of that. If you have an animal in your house, okay, we know God protects, but then when you have an animal in your house, you have like a companion, in case if you don't have any other person in the house. So then people in Botswana, actually, they do all the things they want to do just to make them happy. Because if you're going to do this thing, is going to make you happy, why not just do it? If you're going to have this particular animal in your house, and then it's going to make you happy, why not just do it? So it's one of the things why I love Botswana.
Still talking about tourism, I can remember traveling last weekend. We saw a place, and then I think everybody in the car was like, this is supposed to be a beautiful place. People were visiting the place, but now nobody is there. People don't go there. Forgetting the fact that we keep complaining about, we don't have money, we don't have this, we don't have that. But this is something that is natural, that we are supposed to take care of, and then to, in return, bring income to us. But we don't really take care of it. And one thing is that people would say the government is not doing anything about it. If the government is not doing anything about that very place, why is it that the people of that community cannot do something about it? So let's not just have to wait for people, because most of the lands, tourist sites is not owned by government in Botswana. It is a private property. People just you can see a place and just say, oh, this is a beautiful place, and then nobody is taking care of it. You can just say, if you have the money, you can say, I would want to invest in this thing, because you know what is going to come out of it. Just the way people were saying, this place used to be very beautiful, and people were coming there, but because of lack of maintenance, nobody goes there again. So we need to understand that natural resources are God's given resources that we need to, take care of, and at the end get money, so that we will not sit down and be complaining about how in the year, what,
Yeah,
somebody
this
came
thing
and did
happened.
something for us, but now this person is here, he's not doing anything for us. You as a person, what
Supposed
are
to
you
do
doing
that
for
actually.
yourself? What are you doing towards, achieving things for yourself, not just waiting for somebody to
To
do it?
do
So
it
I
for
think it's
you.
really, really important we understand that. And that is what, one of the reasons why Botswana is really growing fast, because they utilize what they have, for them to be able to sustain themselves. And that is what they are doing. And another thing, again, I really like about
That's
these people is the fact that it is typical of Africa, actually,
mm-hmm.
where you would see women are not being given so much priority when it
Yeah.
comes to offices, but still yet in Botswana they are really working towards making women
Yeah.
stand out, making women, have a say. Prior before now, these people didn't really, like, a woman cannot say she has a right, but right now women have rights. In fact, women second people. Women, if you can actually look for a position or ask for a position that is even
Of
above
course.
a man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it can be given to you. But before now, trust me, as long as you're a woman, you're a second hand. Like, you have to,
Actually.
like, the man has to be on top before you come. But I always say, any society that gives a woman a chance, trust
Chance.
me, things are going to work out differently.
Of course.
But then, as women, we should not forget the fact that even as the men are there, we should also be able to, support them and give them our own wisdom and idea.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me,
Mm-hmm.
they are going to excel. And that is why sometimes they say, I don't think it's sometimes, it is said that, behind a successful
Successful man,
man,
there's a
definitely
successful
there
woman.
is a woman
Of course.
who has sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely, to tell the person. Most times, women are even the one who tell their husbands, do this, do that.
When they say, okay, they are about to get married, they tell you have to be 21 years old before you get married. And so, like, it just I was trying to think about it, and I was like, okay, in like some years ago, before you get married, they tell you maybe when you're 14 or maybe 18 you can get married, but then there's a standard rule over here in Botswana that you have to be 21 years old, and whatever it is you're doing, there has to be an agreement. And if you're marrying anybody, you have to marry a sane person. You can't just say you're marrying somebody. If that person is insane, or if that person has something, if there's something wrong with that person, you can't marry the person. That is why they will tell you if this person is sane, or maybe people that have the right to get married over here in
Even though some
Botswana.
people look sane, no, but they are not.
But they're not actually. So that is why most times they'll tell you they'll have to test you, they'll have to
Wow.
do, yeah, they'll have to do a lot of things for you. And if they tell you, if you say you're a divorcee, or you are a widower or a widow, they'll tell you, okay, you have the right to get married. But you can't just say, they have a standard rule over here that you can't just marry anybody. So that is why they respect women. They said Botswana is the fastest growing country right now. Their economy is growing like very fast, and then that is why the women came into it. Because if a woman should give you an advice, especially when it has to do with business, you should trust that advice, because it will sure yield a lot of profits for you. So that is why the economy is growing faster than any other thing right now at the moment. Because once they try to invest, especially investing in their animals, investing in the gold, like once you try to do all these things, they tend to give you a lot of things. Like when you invest in this particular thing, it gives you a lot of profit. Then you use that profit to do another different thing again. So that is why they will tell you that you need all these things, because it's for your own good. So then you understand that people in Botswana, they love to do business. That is why it is good for you. You can't just say you're working in the office and you're just waiting for your salary, or you're just waiting for your stipends at the end of the month. But then you have a side business that you're doing. That is why people in Botswana are innovative, because anything they want to do, they tend to give you they tend to give you the best of it. When you're doing something and you put your whole heart and mind, body and soul to it, of course you know you're going to get a lot out of it. But then if you try to neglect all those things, it doesn't come out good. So that is why the economy is fast growing these days. Like as of right now, it's growing rapidly, because they do a lot of things. Like they do turnovers and all of that, so they get all they need over there. So when you say a woman is behind a successful man, of course, because when you give her that right, when you show her that she's important to you, when you show her that whatever it is that she's going to do is actually important to you, then you get the best out of it. So you just don't try to say you're doing things because a woman cannot just do anything, or she can't advise you, or she can't tell you what to do and you will end up doing it. I think there was a time that I heard something about some people in a particular place where they tell you that women are just meant to be in the house. Like, you're not supposed to do any other thing. You're just supposed to cook, take care of the house, and that is all. And then you realize the husband is just the one working. Okay, what if something happens to him, his job, or he dies on the contrary, and then he leaves you with nothing? That is why it's advisable. People in Botswana don't just leave women like that. They just tell you, as a woman, you're not supposed to just be in one place. You're not supposed to just be in the house doing just cooking and taking care of the children and the husband and all of that. They give you the opportunity to actually do something with your time, to show them that you can actually build up something, to show them you can actually bring something home, so that you support your husband. Let it not just be that it's one-sided. So that is what's another interesting thing I love about people in Botswana.
But you know, even with the fact that the women are being given the right to do some things out, you would still find out that there are some communities or places you get to see women, you know, be still staying in the house because they just feel, okay, even for the fact that other places are doing it doesn't mean that we are going to, you know, be doing it. So no matter how evolving the world is, and people are changing, things are changing, people are changing their mindsets and all, there are still places where you would see they're still, you know, thinking backwards, not really backwards, but still stuck in their belief, or still, you know, in their belief. They don't want to leave that kind of belief because they just feel like, okay, this is how things are supposed to be. And you know, even if you go to the cities, you will still see the men who still believe that their wives should be at home. And in Botswana, when you talk about infantry, like Botswana, they believe that the woman should give birth to the child. She and maybe the female child, maybe a grown child, will be the one to be taken care of. Maybe like if you have an older one, they are the ones to take care of the younger ones. And the women are supposed to take care of the younger ones. Then the grandparents too, the women, like the female grandparents, are also, you know, being given the chance to take care of even their children's children, which are their grandchildren. So it is more like the women thing. And trust me, whatever comes out of that child, they feel is from the woman, because you are with your child. You should know what the child is doing and what the child is not doing. And if the child is not going at the right direction, then you should be able, you know, to redirect the child. So they just feel like, okay, you should give that child the maximum, you know, attention. But you know, children, you cannot, like, even if, and it, I think something was asked, is it just, you know, in the house that children can be taught all these things? They go to school, you know, and then they meet with other people, but they are like, the woman, as long as you are in the house, it is your responsibility to, you know, even if the child goes out and then tries to pick up something wrong from his peers, when the child comes back to the house, you should be able to notice it immediately and then take, you know, give the child the correction. And that is why some men are still bent on, you are not going to go out taking care of anything. I will take care of all the bills. You should stay in the house and take care of the children. That is a man who actually has, you know, more priority on the children. But there are women who still, you will see them in the house, but all they do, it is because of lack of education. Some of them, you know, stay in the house. If he's not taking care of the house, he's going to the farm. If he's not going to the farm, he's not. There's something. And I'm like, I think before we leave Botswana, I would want to have, you know, more clarity, because I don't understand how a woman should be the one constructing, you know, when you talk about division of labor now, women do this olden days construction of the house, like it's women that, but it is, I cannot see a woman like building a house for creative. Us to stay.
Of course, women are creative, so what do you expect?
But then in Botswana, to be honest, they do it, especially when you go to the rural areas where women are just so hardworking. To be like, I don't know, but they are just so hardworking. You see them taking care of the house. You see them building the house. You see them going to the market. You see them selling. You see them doing like you. There is no time you see a woman in Botswana without, like, even if you talk about maybe the pictures and all, you just see them holding babies or backing them, carrying water on the head, carrying firewood, or like, I'm like, wow.
Of course, women are so strong. What do you expect? Women are strong. And then talking about the women in Botswana in particular, like they have this passion of the things they want to do, and they want to just deliver. You know, there's something about women, they hardly show when they are tired. Especially when you are a married woman, especially when you know that you have a lot of responsibilities to take. You know, when you think about your children, you're going to prepare them for school, you have to prepare what they're going to eat, your husband is going to work, you have to prepare what he's going to eat as well, and then you have to take the children to school. And then talking about constructing where you're going to stay and all of that, women are multitasking. Like, they can just sit down and do a lot of things in one time, because they just feel they want to do it and then just finish immediately, because you know they have another thing ahead of them again. Once you're planning on preparing your children to go to school, you're thinking of what to do in the afternoon for lunch. And then after that, you're thinking of dinner. Then after that, you're thinking of laundry and a lot of things. And then you're thinking of going to the market. You're thinking of doing a lot of things. Just imagine about a story about a woman that the house they were staying with her husband and all of that. Something happened to it. But then the husband couldn't do anything because he was in a hurry to go to work. And then he just allowed the woman to do it herself. But then you can't tell me that being the woman, because you're a woman, so you can't just do anything. It's not possible.
You have to be productive.
You have to be productive. So she took it upon herself to just do something about it. And then maybe you think you don't have enough money to take care of all these things. You have to do it yourself. So then in doing it yourself, you realize you're actually trying to get how to build this, how to fix this, how to make this look beautiful, and then to even look better, because you know that this is what you have done yourself. So you would take your time to do it yourself, instead of calling other people to come and do it for you, and then they will end up doing it not right, and then you end up regretting why you wasted a lot of money, and then you're even saving money for yourself and for the family, because you're thinking of taking care of the husband, you're thinking of giving them food to eat, and then thinking of going to the market, and then that same money that you're going to use to spend, and then maybe let's say you waste it because you know you can actually do it yourself. So it's something interesting to know that the women in Botswana took it upon themselves not to just sit out. Even when they are at home, they are still doing something. Even when they are home, they are still trying to build up something that is going to be useful for them. They are still trying to do so it's very good for you to understand that being a woman does not give you the right to just stay in the house. Even if your husband says just stay in the house, at least even if you're just be productive, even if you're at home, even if you're just at home doing nothing, and then your husband goes to work and then he gives you everything. Try and tell yourself that you can't just sit down idle. Not sitting down idle in the sense that, okay, like you're just cooking, or you're just preparing the house, or you're just washing, or no. At least try and think of something, maybe an advice for your husband, maybe a business that you can do in the house. There are people that do businesses in their homes, that people can, you just know, okay, even if you don't just set it outside, but then you just market it. That is why it's good for you. You have your phones, you market it online. The internet is actually a place for you to market your goods. So you can't just sit at home doing nothing and then just saying, I'm a housewife, so I can't do anything. But women in Botswana took it upon themselves to actually be innovative, to be creative, to actually do all these things for their own good, and for them not to just sit and then they said an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So you can't just sit doing nothing. You will start thinking of doing other things that are not good. Maybe you now start having friends around that will even mislead you. So then it's good for you to understand that you, as a woman in Botswana, you have every right to bring out things to the house, to make the house good, even if it doesn't mean you have to go like work the way your husband is working, but at least the little you can do will actually bring something good to the house.
Of course. And you know, some of these women that stay at home, actually, for those who don't want to just stay idle, they go into, you know, handcrafts. They do some kind of like, they bring some kind of innovation and, you know, something creative that you can do that people will appreciate and buy from them. So it doesn't have to be that because your husband says stay at home and take care of the children, then you just stay at home and not do anything. Because you have to be up and about as a woman, and that is what, you know, these people do. You will see most of these women, if they are not going out to have definitely white collar job, they will still have something they are doing at home. And you will see some women, even if they don't have anything, if they don't do it at home, you know, they still go to the market and do. Women fish in Botswana, men fish more, but women also fish in Botswana. And most of the things the women do is just, you know, to dry up the fish, take it to the market, sell it, and then bring back the benefit. And which, you know, the women will still control the benefit, they will still control the finances. This is what we should do, and this is what we should not do. And then at the end, you will see everything is coming out well. And talking about the male, especially the young male child in Botswana, you know, there's a little bit of, let me not say, I want to be constructive now, but you know, crime rate in Botswana actually is a little bit high, and you know, it is lack of things to do
Of course.
most times. But you know why? Sometimes I just like, this place has nature. This place is like, it has natural resources where people can just use. You talked about mining, you talked about diamonds and all that. So if no, even if you don't go to school, at least you should be able to, you know, use your mind or use your sense, you know, for you to say, okay, I can't just stay at home and just not do anything. It's just the way you said, an idle man is the devil's workshop. Because when you stay at home, trust me, so many things will come your mind and you'll be like, I need to go out, I need to do this, I need to do that. And it's going to be negative also, because you just sit there and you're not doing anything. All you want to do is to have money. How can you have money without doing something? So you have to make sure that you have something doing. And that is, you know, the little lazy thing, you know, the male child, you know, sometimes do there, and then it leads them into trouble. At the end, they are in the courts, at the end, they are in the police station, which of course, it is another person's daily job to do. They are policemen. They have their work to do also. So if you commit a crime, definitely they are going to.
So does that mean you should continue making all these faults? Like you should do a crime and so that they can just arrest you? Or
that is why they should not do it, because they will get arrested. You get so if they do it, they will get arrested. That is their job, and they are up to it. So if you do it, you definitely get arrested. But the government has come, you know, to say this thing is getting too much. We need to take care of, you know, we need to tackle some of these situations. What is causing it? One thing is, again, these children, most times they say they don't go to school because they don't have access to education, especially the ones in the villages, where you would see one school in the whole community, and sometimes you will see, like, in a nearby village there's no even school. You have to go to another village. The children trekking from one village to another, it is tiring. And then also some parents just give birth to so many children because they want them to go and then be herdsmen. You know, they rear cattle a lot in Botswana. So it is more like, okay, I am giving birth to these children because I want them to just help me in my cattle farm, you know, and that is it. And, you know, even the parents in Botswana, in some of the communities, they are complaining the fact that their children are being educated and then of the farm. See, even as a village person, education is really important.
Course,
even as a farmer, education is really important. Governments are coming now to say, okay, we want to help you, because there's drought. Everywhere is almost like, you will see the places are dry, and then people are suffering so much for them to be able to produce from their farm. But the government is saying, okay, we want to aid that stress. We want to, like, try and do something for you. So if we are bringing this initiative, you know, so for you to be helped, how, if the government brings it and the person that is going to give it to you cheats you, how would you know? So you have to be knowledgeable. Even for the fact that you are a farmer, you have to have the knowledge of what you are doing. So even if you're going to go, there are agricultural schools, there are so many things that you need to go and just get that very knowledge you need. Whatever you are doing, it doesn't have to be you're reading maths. No. But as a person, you should know exactly where you fit in. Then you look for solution. You look for, you know, how to enhance your knowledge, how to enhance yourself. At the end of it, you see, at the end, you'll be able to bring a better result than the one you just sit down and say, okay, me, I'm not educated. There are people that even to sign, if the government brings something, for them to sign is a problem. There are people who they even cheat because they don't even know how much it is. You know, like reading from some stories, people's stories that, you know, the government brought something and then they were cheated at the end of it and all that. So you have to be knowledgeable, whatever, no matter the level you are, you have to know what you're doing so that somebody cannot just come and say, this is it, and which is not like that. So I think people should understand that education is not all about you going to school and then read maths or read what and then go and become maybe a doctor,
or maybe a nurse or a lawyer or something.
It is for your own self. So you have to do it for your own development and all.
You know, education in Botswana, it's more like it is compulsory. They tell you it is free for you to go to school, but then they tell you it's your own choice. Like, you can decide to go to school, you can decide not to. But then I don't know how someone would just sit down and say, okay, education is free. You're not going to pay anything. Like, you just have to go to school, just avail yourself in the class, like you're in school.
But it just feel like, I think it's the age of 5 to 14.
Yeah,
so. So most times, the very part that you need the most money.
Yeah, actually, the very part, to be left to you. But at least you need to have, the foundation matters. The foundation matters. At least if you're educated, like, okay, let's say for instance, you can see a little child and then he can't even speak English, or you can't even send him to do something, you can't even ask him something for him to answer you. It's actually something is more like, it's not nice. But then the foundation matters in whatever it is you're going to do. Foundation matters. So then when you realize that your foundation is good, no matter what, at least when you get to a particular level, you know how to tackle that thing, you know how to go about it. We're talking about finances, talking about money and all of that. There's something I understood about people in Botswana. Their currency means rain. So it means that, and then they said why it's being called rain, that it comes at the time they want it. But then he says that when it rains over there, it means it's a blessing. They see it as a blessing. So then when you have money, you know you have a blessing. Of course, when you have money, you can give it to people, you can help people, you can go to the hospital, schools, you can go to the farm, you can buy food, you can do a lot of things with it. So then they see it as a blessing. So then when you have money, you can do anything you want to do with it. That is why they call their currency rain. That is what it means over here in Botswana. So then when you talk about people in Botswana and education and all of that, it is very compulsory for you to know something about what you are doing. If you're doing something and you don't actually understand it, or you can't even communicate with somebody about the particular business you're doing, then what are you doing? You're just wasting your time and wasting the other person's time. So then if you understand this thing you're doing is actually right, if you understand this thing you're doing is correct, if you understand this thing you're doing is important, then you need to go to school and just learn the little basics of education, so you just know you can actually defend yourself when it comes to it. There was a time they said there was someone that was accused. He had there was an issue and he wasn't even there, but because he couldn't even converse, he couldn't even communicate with them to understand what's going on, they ended up accusing him, and then he fell for it, and that was it. He had to stay for like more than 5 years imprisonment, which is something that if only he knew how to defend himself or to even say something about what happened on that day, it wouldn't have affected him. So that is why it's good for you to be educative, for you to know that if you are educated about particular things in life, if you can communicate with people, if you can understanding matters. You can actually tell me something, and then it depends on how I understand it. Then if I can't ask you what do you mean by this thing, and then I just go ahead to just do something about it, then I end up getting it
and
wrong.
that is the basic of education, for you to be able to
understand and communicate with people. So if you can't communicate with someone, or if you can't actually get something from someone and give it back, then there's no communication over there. So it's actually important for you to know that education is key. No matter what you're going to do, at least have little of it so you can actually stand for yourself.
Of course. And you know, I see that there are parents actually now who, the reason why some of these people actually don't allow their children, just the way I said, the cattle rearing or the farm thing and all that, so they just want to just have these kids and just and you are the parent and you are thinking that way about your child. Do you know, one day I went to the school because I taught in SS2.
Okay.
I taught them English. One day I went to the school. Nobody was in the school. I was like, well, nobody was in the class, and I'm like, what happened? Then the principal said, it's because it rained yesterday. It rained yesterday, so no road. And then road. all the students have gone to the farm.
Oops.
You know, okay. So it is more like, so you mean when it's raining, students don't come to school? He said, to be honest, and it's more like nobody gets punished for it.
Wow.
Like, yes, this is the very time they get to go to the farm. I think it rains there like very late.
Okay.
I think this is like June, July. That's when it starts raining there. So just imagine June, July, and September. The rain is gone. So they have to use that opportunity and do what they are doing. But that is their own way. But I just feel like, yes, but the good thing about these young people is that they really want to learn. So it is, you can excuse them a little because that is their community, that is what they feed themselves with. So at the time they can be able to go out, but when it comes to education, they also give education the priority that it needs. So it is good that you have to understand, even as parents, get to understand when and when not, your children should do something, because it is, in all, it is going to be that you are the one who gave birth to this child, and the child became a nuisance to the community because you did not teach the child exactly what he or she is supposed to know. And it is just, most times it is more like the young people, especially the women or the female children, they go mostly to go get water from very far places. You know, the place is actually almost dry almost
of
all the
course it's
time,
dry.
almost around the year. So they get to go to like some streams to get water. And that is when, you know, some of these young people follow them and go to
That's
rape
beautiful.
or do some kind of things, which is bad. And the government also saw it that, okay, if this thing is happening this way, what can we do?
about
They came up with like initiative, even some private owned organizations too came to some of the local governments and, you know, build up like they built a borehole for them so that they can be able to use. So sometimes you just see like a very long queue
Of course,
of
to fetch
people,
water, what
of
do you expect?
young people, you know, going to fetch water, and then sometimes the children will go there and not go home. Sometimes it take them like till in the evening
Yeah,
before
no,
they go back home, and
they're
the mom
having
is like,
fun. They're
really?
having fun, of course, because you meet a lot of people there to
Yeah.
fetch water, and then you try to you can even make friends over there, like because
They
it's
do,
more
they
like,
do, they
of
do.
course,
Like most times, it is not just like, okay, if we are friends, me and you can just say, okay, how fast? Let's go
let's
and
go and
fetch
fetch
water
water.
now. Then we'll go, we'll not come back till in the evening. Then when
That's
we come
just
back,
that's
we'll not
just
face it.
that's just an excuse for you to just take a walk, or maybe to just go and play or something like that. So we've been talking about Botswana, and it's a beautiful country and it's a welcoming country. But then we'll take a time out, and when we come back, we'll tell you more interesting things about Botswana. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. It's still the Midday Show live, and we're still talking about Botswana. And now we're back. We're going to talk about their delicious meal. And then if you want to hear about that, please stay with us and have fun. Magdalene is still with me here on this trip, and we're still having fun.
Of course, we are having fun. Why wouldn't you say that? We are on food.
Of course, when you talk about food, you know, when you talk about food, like there's this joy it comes with, because you know that you're going to actually be filled, you're going to be happy. When you see someone that is sad, probably it could just be that he's just sad, maybe he has not eaten. Then when you give him food, just check the excitement. So right now I am excited.
Not really. But you know, I think I can remember, was it last week or one of the previous episodes we had, and I was like, I'm not a foodie. Linda
You
is
said
a
that,
foodie.
of course.
Immediately I came out of the studio, people were like, are you serious? You're telling people that you're not a foodie?
You're not a foodie, why
but
you
I was
are?
thinking, I can eat.
Of
but it doesn't
course.
mean that I love eating. Like, have you seen Linda eating?
I don't get it.
But well, one thing, there's this meal I like, not really like, because I think almost all our local places, they have
Yeah.
that kind of porridge, corn porridge.
Okay.
Like, but I think
With
that
beans.
staple is mostly for, you know, the poorer people who don't really
That's
have.
what they say.
Yeah, but the thing is, most times, trust me, if you go to a rich house, they hardly would want to eat gote. Here we call it gote.
Yeah, that's
Kaduna, they
right.
call it pate.
Okay.
And yeah, so you know, that is the same thing. It's still corn porridge, but their own. Ha! They used to cook fish. That's
see?
pate. It's not
Yeah,
gote.
that-
Gote
Really?
is
Okay.
you people's own.
Wow.
That white one that they don't used to put anything. But these people's own, they put fish, they put meat, like they put some things like that in it, and most times they have it in different form.
Yeah.
The morning, like for breakfast, they like it for breakfast too, and in the breakfast is more like it's not very thick. It is just like, okay, this is breakfast. You need to take something
Yeah.
light, so it's lighter. Then in the afternoon they do a fika. I like that one because of how they
too like
prepare it, but it's not like I can eat small and I'm okay.
You're going to eat it because that's what we're having for lunch, and you're going to eat. And then when you talk about having fruit, you can just eat when you finish eating your meal, and then you can just have maybe a slice of watermelon, and then it goes well with it. And they're talking about beautiful food in Botswana. Like when they give you their meal to eat, of course you can't just eat an empty food without meat or fish or something to just spice it up. You know, there's something they say when you're eating, the meat part is actually the encouraging part, that you can't wait wait to finish eating so you can just eat that meat.
I know.
So of course, like that's I love meat. Like that's the truth. So you can't just find me eating and
So
there's
I
no
was thinking
meat.
you will not stay it.
No, I have to say it like that's the truth. Like that is the joyful part of eating food for me. Even if I'm eating a very little meal, so far
That's
as
the
there's meat.
motivation, actually.
Of course, it's a motivation. People call it encouragement. People say if you're eating and then there's no meat, you're not eating well. But then when there's meat, you know you're anxious to finish eating. So you can just eat that meat like that. Okay, I think growing up there was this part that okay, it's actually interesting that when you're eating, maybe when they give, I can't eat without meat, that's the truth. So growing up, when they tell you you can't eat food, or maybe there's food but there's no meat, I'll just tell you I'm not hungry. I'll tell you I don't want to eat it. So like when they tell you okay there's fine, then you see the meat part, you tell you okay finish eating this and then you eat the meat. I grew up with that nurture that you have to eat with
Have
meat.
you been sick before and then they said you're on medication, you should not eat meat, you should not eat these as a child, and you be like, really? I can remember there's this child who was sick around December period.
Okay.
And all the frying, the chin, everything was just going on. And she got sick.
Oh.
We took her somewhere and they said if she's going to be taking these drugs,
She will not,
she would not eat meat.
Wow.
She will not eat chin. Anything that has to do with oil, she should avoid it.
Wow.
So when we brought the medicine
That's
to her
sad.
and we said, sorry, this is
is
what the doctor said. Do you know, the next day she started crying.
My
Like,
goodness,
it is no more the sickness that is even making, it's not the
It's
pain
not,
of
it's
the
the
sickness.
meat that she's not going to eat that, and then she's seeing it. It's the time, like you know when it's that time, that particular time where you have to see chin, you have to see meat, you have to see all these things. Like you're excited, you want to eat it, and then just come to think of it, and then they'll tell you you're not going to eat it because you're not feeling well. You have to, no, it's painful. Like no, I feel her pain. It's
But she got well in no time because she just felt like, no, I can't do this.
So I
I
just
need
have
to
to
be
get
well for me
well,
to
of
be
course.
able to, so it's actually, meat is actually a motivation. So when you're eating, you have to, and these people really know. But you know, they rear cattle, they have cattle. So most times, in fact, even people in the villages, you hardly see them eat without like meat
they have
inside.
animals over
They have
there. So what do you
animals.
expect?
But trust me, these people sometimes you will see they have the animals, but they don't want to kill the animals. They just want to be selling
you know, when you
it.
get close, when you have an animal that is very close to you, you feel the pain when it dies. Let me
When
tell
it
you,
dies.
yeah, let me tell you something that happened to me. I think just some weeks ago or something. There's this dog in my house. Like that used to be like one of the best. Like anything you can just send Chelsea and then he goes. You can just say this and then like you can just tell him to leave where he is and he leaves. You can't just keep food and without telling him to eat. He won't eat it. And then all of a sudden we just woke up one morning and he was dead.
Oh,
Like
sorry.
it was you. Thank you. It was really sad. Like I felt the pain because Chelsea was more like a companion for me because most of when I get I'm always alone at home. So most of when I'm at home, he's there. I'll just sit down beside it and that's it. Even if I'm not saying anything, but at least I just feel there's someone beside me. So people in Botswana, they got used to all their animals. So then killing it is actually something that they really feel is not supposed to be. But then once they want, that's what they do. They can just go, can't just pick it from there and kill it and then because they want to eat meat. No, they don't. They can just go to the market and then just get it from there, just prepare it and then come back. They feel that pain. There's this connection they have with their animals over there that they feel it's actually part of them. So they can't just kill it, they just feel the pain. But then there's no meal in Botswana that there's no meat inside.
Even though another thing again why they don't kill it is because that is their source of income. And it is more like it's a painful experience for them to say, okay, I want to just kill this thing and eat instead of me keeping it and then selling it, and in return I'll get some cash for it. So they just feel like, okay, we should keep this thing and then sell it instead of eating it. So I think it is, and the reason why it's like that is because of the drought.
Yeah.
So even their farm sometimes doesn't really, the product doesn't really come out so well. So sometimes you just feel like, okay, this is what we can bounce back at. Like this is more reliable. Because if you have them, you can just go take them to the stream, and that is what the male gender in Botswana, usually do. They go out, they take the cattle out, take them round, and when they are really fed, then they will bring them back in the evening. And sometimes you will see them even under the rain, but they have raincoats though.
Yeah,
you see them under the rain because they've gone so far and they can't come back. Or maybe before they would realize the clouds has gathered, they can't be able to come back home, or even on their way home you see the rains already on them. So that is what they like doing. And another thing these people do on a daily is hunting. But I'm like, with this kind of wildlife they have, they should not, even though you cannot just hunt, you have to have a license.
Of course,
and then there
before
are
you
animals you don't kill. Because if you kill those animals, you are going to be arrested. So you have to be careful that, okay, this is what you should do, this is what not to do. And another thing again, and it's really interesting how you can't hunt in a car.
Yeah,
Like you can't hunt using a car.
Yeah,
But you can enter the car and get to where you want to hunt, then keep the car and then continue. Like you have to hunt barefooted.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Okay, so if you want to endanger the animal's life, you also have to endanger your life again, so that you know you and the animal will be face to face. I don't really know, but that is their own rule there, that you don't hunt when you are in the car. You have to drop, you know, and hunt.
You know, they're used to it, so it's more like you. I hardly hear about maybe they're having an encounter, maybe a battle with an animal in the bush. It's more like they are used
talk
to
the animals.
They talk to the animals, so the animals actually understand them. They understand. So how can I just sit and then understand you want to kill me, and I'll just be quiet looking at you, and then just
but most
allow
times
you.
the hunting is not just for them to hunt and kill. Sometimes it's just for them to hunt and then take the animals home. I don't know. Like there's a way. Some of them, not all. Some of them will go kill for them to be able to eat, you know, eat meat, because they really love meat in everything they do. They have a lot of animals there, so they just feel like, how can I eat without meat? So most of them, some of them go for, you know, to hunt and eat, and then some of them just go to hunt and then bring them back home.
Yeah, you know, like it's very interesting to know that people in Botswana actually, they love these animals so well that when they realize that one of the animals is actually sick, instead of them, maybe when they take him to the hospital, or maybe something has been done and maybe it's still not getting better, for them to just let the animal die like that, they just tend to kill it. It's better for them to just inject it to just die, because you just don't feel like, let them just watch it die on its own. Like it's more like it's a loss to them. It's painful to them to just realize that the animal will just die just because it has been sick.
For them struggle, to just, some of them will struggle,
and then they feel the pain. You know, there are people that feel pains when their animals are actually sick. Or I used to have an aunt that she had this cat. Anytime this cat is ill or is not eating food, she feeds the cat. The day the cat died, she mourned that cat for more than a week. She was really sad. She was crying and was like, this is the only thing she liked. Like, just imagine you getting used to an animal and then he dies just like that.
I am not sure I can be used to cats, and I don't know
No,
why.
I don't really like cats.
I don't like to be honest. There was this cat when I was in school. My friend brought the cat. It wasn't my cat. And you know, most times I used to look at the cat and say, I don't like you. Don't
come close to me. Don't come close.
But you know, most times I'll go to school and come back. The cat is in my drawer.
Wow. Because you don't like it, so you have to like it by force.
The funniest part is that, you know, sometimes I used to wonder how can a cat, you know, open up place and enter, like, it was one day her mom came and said, what are people doing with the cats in this house? I said, Mommy, I don't know. Sandra was like, really? You don't know? I said, I don't. Initially, I didn't allow her know that I didn't really like the cat. I was just like, okay, since you like it and we're together, no problem. But the cat now, instead of loving her, he was not loving me, and I didn't like the company. Sometimes I'll be sleeping, the cat is on my face.
Oops.
So when the mom came and said, what? I said, Mommy, I don't know. She said, I'm taking. I said, take it.
Really?
And that was how, you know, I got free from the cat. Actually. So I just really, there are people who are animal freak. They really love animals. But I am, you know, for the fact that I love animals being around, but I don't really love, like, okay, this is my pet. You know, I don't see them as pets for me.
But you're in Botswana, so you have to just start liking animals.
That is why we are here. You know, you would know definitely what they do and how they do it, so that, you know, you can be able, and it's not everything you like, definitely. Of course. So you can try your best and leave the rest.
Of course, you know, when you go to the wildlife and then you want to see the animals, of course you'll be with someone for him to actually take you through and let you know this is what you're supposed to do here and this is what you're not supposed to do. And I think they have particular clothes, outfits for you to go to the wildlife, especially when you're going to see giraffes and all these wild dogs. Like, they'll tell you this is what you're supposed to wear. You don't need to wear this particular thing, because when you go there, maybe the animals feel you're about to attack them. But once they see a particular color of outfit on you, you, they just believe, okay, this person is my friend, so I can actually go close to this person, I can actually stay with this person, nothing is going to happen to me. So it's interesting to know that we are here today in Botswana, and we're going to have a lot of outing and a lot of things we're going to do in the wildlife, especially before we go to the part of eating and all of that. So you can just know that once you see the animal, you know this is what you want and all of that. We're talking about all these animals, and then I just remember the medical system over there in Botswana. You know that when you find yourself in Botswana and you're ill, they said the medical facilities are fast growing. Like they are building hospitals in different places, even in some particular villages where there are no much people. You can still find maybe one healthcare or maybe two in a particular place, because they understand health is wealth for them over there. So like they take it is a vital thing for them over there, for you to realize that you're sick, and maybe even if you don't have the means of taking care of yourself in the hospital or getting particular drugs for yourself, they help you out. That's an act of charity. Because if you feel you are ill, and then you know there are particular places where you go to the hospital and they tell you have to deposit a particular amount before they can start treatment, they'll be seeing you're about to die, or they see you're struggling with your life, and then they tell you have to deposit a particular amount of money, which is sad. Because even if that person is not going to be able to pay thereafter, but at least save the person's life first. Because life matters. You can't just see someone that is ill. I, for one, can't just someone that's ill and then just let you sit like that because you can't take care of yourself, or because you don't have the means to go to the hospital. But then because the people in Botswana over here, like they deal with diamonds a lot, so then they have a lot of incomes over there. So even when you're sick and you get there, most of the drugs they give you is free. So, and then that is why they are still getting people who support them, people who are building hospitals for them, people who are giving them all the revenues that they need for hospitals just to take care of sick people. Because when you're sick and then you realize, okay, what if the whole people will be sick? So what would you do? Then you cannot just say you're just letting this person be because he's seriously sick and there's nothing you can do about it. So then people in Botswana, they've actually taken health to be an important part of them. So that is why they are actually so proud and happy about all the things that they do to people who are sick and all of that.
And you know, the life expectancy too has increased, like in recent years now, because apart just the way you said, some of the hospitals, when you go there, you know, you have to show up, you have to give something before you are being treated, and that is why they have charity organizations now. Because when you go to the hospital and say you don't have money, let them treat you, and they'll be like, is this a charity organization we are running? So that is why, you know, the charity organizations too are out, and then they are helping helping people. And trust me, you know, Botswana is actually a Christian country. Yeah, so most people, sometimes they don't really depend. Most people in Botswana actually cure themselves in different ways. They have herbs they go to. They still, you know, there are some people, even for the fact that they know that Christ came and died for them, still yet the things and then give to the person. And then some people, of course, they said in Botswana, just the way we have here, you know, they have many private churches there. Where they have prophets that people go there and then, you know, they are being prayed for them to get healed and all that. So they have different ways, not just the hospital, but if you, in case you don't have the money to go to the hospital, you can go to a charity clinic, or you can go, you know, they can prepare the herbs for you, or you can go and you'll be prayed for, and at the end, you know, you get healed. That is how they also, you know, they believe that they get healed. And, you know, the life expectancy now is really increasing because they feel like, okay, you don't have to pay money, or you don't have to waste money for you to be able to achieve good health.
Yeah, I think we have actually come to the end of our trip.
So you mean we are leaving?
Yeah, of course we have to leave, because we actually have to go to another.
I thought you said we were going to have fun for a long time.
Of course we will. Of course we will. Unless if you don't want, but you just have to join me this time around. And so we're going to have fun next time. So we've come to the end of our trip, and it was actually an amazing trip with Magdalene. Join us next week, same time. I will take you to a different country as well. Bye-bye.